it's Lisa from the blog Farmhouse on Boone, and today I want to talk to you about farmhouse style items that I look for at the thrift shop. I have a post on the blog called Things I Look for Farmhouse Style at the Thrift Shop. And I actually went to a few thrift shops last weekend, and I wanted to show you, first of all, what I brought home, and then just talk a little bit through what else I look for and what I have in my house that I've gotten from thrift shops, kind of the price point, and what I look for in these items. So first I'm gonna go through what I found this last weekend when we went out and about. First up is this crock. It has a broken off little handle thing here, quite a bit of wear, some aging, which I like, and it was $2. So I would not pass up a piece of pottery like this. I don't know that much about it or what year it was in, but I know that this would look really pretty. It could be pretty with a few things sticking out the top or just as is. Definitely worth $2. I'm gonna use it to put on my built-ins in the living. In that same theme, because I wanted several things to put on my built-in bookshelves in my living room, I found this. Doesn't have the price on it anymore. I know it was less than $20. I couldn't tell you exactly what it was. This I actually found at an antique store, which usually I don't find things that are good enough deals for me there. But I know it was less than 20 bucks, and so there was also a Labor Day sale, and so I snagged it up because I like the color of it, and I like the wear around the top, and it just has, it's uneven and looks like somebody handcrafted it. Again, I was in a crock mood, and the reason that I was in that mood is because I'm looking for things to put on my bookshelf, and I wanted some things that are off-white and in varying heights and textures so that it adds a little bit of interest. And then I also like that these are open so I can put things in them, like maybe some wheat for the fall, flowers of course in the spring, and some greenery for this Christmas. So those will look nice spread out on my bookshelf. Again, I don't remember, I think this one might have been $9. None of them as great as a steal as this one, but this came from my favorite store, which I always find good deals at. Okay, I bought some vintage ticking stripe, which I would never pass this up even if I had no kind of plan for it. It has you can tell that it's been around a while, it's kind of aged looking, almost like a linen color, in the blue. It was $4 for the pair, so this can be some pillows, or even it would look pretty in a quilt. I just definitely couldn't pass it up. It would be great to reupholster some chairs with, and linens are one of my favorite things to find and bring back. I found this cutting board. It says handcrafted. I don't know exactly when it's from. I know it was, I believe, around $8. This will look pretty in the kitchen, layered with some other antique cutting boards or cheese boards, and so I especially like the long handle and the square. Wouldn't pass something like this up if I saw it, obviously. Okay, so that was the last that I found this particular weekend. I snagged up several of these baskets, but they came from World Market, so not the thrift shop. Although they do look vintage, which is why I got them. Oh, I did forget one more thing. So I'm playing around with this idea here on this stool. I found this crochet table topper for $2, and I originally thought pillow, and then I came home and I thought it looked really pretty on my entryway bench, so it might go there. But either way, somebody spent time crocheting this. It's a beautiful color. It will add a cozy texture for fall and winter. Definitely excited to do something with it, even if it's just putting it on this bench or making it into a pillow. I think it'll look beautiful in my fall farmhouse. Other things on the list for the blog post that I have: ironstone. So I didn't find any ironstone this weekend, but I do see it an awful lot. Pieces like this. I go more in depth on the blog about what exactly to look for, but you'll usually see some labels on the bottom that'll say like ironstone China. This one says J.G. Meakin, Hanley, England. So this is legitimate ironstone. I stole this, I didn't really, but it was $3. It's beautiful. It has a little detailer on the top and it's got some age on it, but it's just beautiful. These, I don't remember what I paid for them, but I usually won't pay more than $20 for an item. You can find them pretty much all the time at antique stores, but they're usually pretty expensive. If I keep my eye out at my favorite places, I can usually find them for $5 to $10. I believe these came in a set for about 10 bucks, but you can see the worn label of the antique ironstone, and I love it when there's browning. That's my favorite thing. Patina, they call it. So this was a little set, and all of this stuff is gonna get arranged on my built-ins this fall. Here's another piece of antique ironstone. This is actually Homer Laughlin. I have a 1-gallon pitcher by Homer Laughlin as well in my kitchen. I have a few little vintage clothespins in them. I use those mostly for photo styling, but I think they're pretty. Some more things on the list. Wooden boxes. I'm kind of picky now, pickier than I used to be. I don't really like a whole lot of painting and color, but I really like this one. I think it was just a couple bucks and it falls apart, but I think it's pretty. I like the color of it. I like that it looks old, and I wouldn't pass up little boxes like this because they look really pretty much everywhere in a little vignette. I have quite a few of those kind of crates around the house, and there's more pictures on the blog. I talk about Enamelware, which I need to grab a picture. This is an example of an enamel pitcher that I bought. I really love that it's all just kind of chippy and it's just pretty. I really like this. I go more in depth of other enamel pieces I look for. Something I don't talk about in the blog post much is linens. I guess at the time I really wasn't keeping my eyes peeled for linens, but I've fallen in love with them. So, and a good example would be right here on my bed. There is a beautiful hand-stitched embroidery pattern on this. Really pretty, and it has a crocheted edge all the way around. Something you really can't find today, and I believe I even paid less than $10 for the set. Things like that, and crocheted edges on napkins with embroidered patterns. Usually if they're white or off-white, linen colored, I will get something like that. Vintage fabrics. Here's a little ironstone piece that is J&G Meakin as well, and it's got a blue pattern on it. I really like that to add a little bit of color because I love adding blues and tans. As far as furniture goes, I've definitely gotten more picky. I usually look for certain styles that I like. I go a little more in depth on the blog post about how I choose. I don't like pieces that are real curvy. I like straight line. That's just something I've learned from experience of what I like, how it looks in my house. Because before you kind of get the eye for what you like, you might find yourself bringing home a lot of stuff that you think has a lot of potential, and then you realize that the bare bones of it, the shape, just aren't really gonna fit into your style. Even if you paint it and add, you know, your own personal touch, they're just not the shape that you like. I always make sure now, after definitely going through some pieces that were not nice and we ended up having to even throw one away that I paid pretty good money for, make sure it's solid. No matter how much paint and nails you add to it, if it's an old piece that just doesn't have the structural stability anymore, it's not really worth buying, no matter how pretty it is. So keep that in mind, get familiar with the shape you like, kind of study on Pinterest the style that you love and then what fits into that, and you'll get an eye too for what kind of furniture you should bring back home. I talked about Crocs, ironstone, linens, furniture. What would you add to that? What kind of things do you look for at thrift shops to bring back to your home? If you love farmhouse style or any other style, what is it that you keep your eyes peeled for? You know, once you have experience with it over several years, you realize how to separate what's kind of junk and what's great and what you're gonna like to look at for years. And a lot of stuff I ended up just getting rid of because it didn't fit. It's no longer in my style, or maybe it never really was. You'll get familiar with what the prices should be, and all of that just kind of comes with experience. So head over to the blog. I give more tips, more pictures, and add to the discussion over there. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I hope you'll subscribe to my channel. And I upload videos weekly on food from scratch, natural living, and a handmade home.